I stood at the edge of my 60-acre ranch, boots planted in the dirt, arms crossed, staring at a wall of gleaming steel that hadn't been there a week ago. My cattle were trapped, my truck couldn't move, and I couldn't even reach my barn without scaling a locked gate. The padlock glinted under the Texas sun, mocking me. The Crestview Meadows Homeowners Association, a fancy neighborhood that had sprung up next to my land, had fenced me in, claiming my rugged ranch was an eyesore, ruining their perfect aesthetic. They didn't care that I wasn't part of their HOA. They didn't care that their fence was illegal. They just wanted control. My name's Ethan Caldwell, a 38-year-old rancher, widower, and veteran. 6 years ago, I bought this land in Texas after losing my wife to cancer. It was our dream-wide skies, quiet nights, horses grazing under endless stars. Back then, there was no Crestview Meadows, just open plains and a gravel road. But over the last 5 years, those plains turned into rows of manicured lawns, white picket fences, and nosy folks with too much time on their hands. I'm not one for trouble, but when they boxed me in, they woke something fierce. It started small. When Crestview began building 3 years ago, I didn't mind. I waved at joggers, let kids feed my goats through the fence, even lent tools to a dad building a swing set. But then Margaret Hensley moved in, the new HOA president, with her sharp blonde bob, crisp blouses, and a clipboard she wielded like a scepter. Her husband, Victor, trailed her like a shadow, quiet but loyal. The first letter from Margaret complained my windmill didn't match their color scheme. I laughed and tossed it. The next said my cows were too loud. By the fifth, she demanded I repaint my barn and move my tractors because they lowered curb appeal. I sent one letter back. I'm not in your HOA. Leave me alone. But Margaret didn't stop. She sent teams to photograph my land, even flew a drone over my stables. I caught the guy, but he just shrugged and sped off. I stayed calm, raised to be patient, respectful. But while I was away helping my sister with her newborn, I came home to find my ranch caged. Steel fencing, locked gate, chained from their side. I called the sheriff, who shook his head. This is a mess, Ethan. They claim it's for security. You'll need a court. Court? I had livestock to move, delivery stuck, workers stranded. That night, by the fireplace with my ranch hand, Caleb, and foreman, Rachel, I made a decision. They want a fence? I said, voice low. I'll give him one. We planned for 3 days, bought the finest cedar in the county, hired extra hands, and brought in a smart lock company. By Thursday, a 12-foot fence, smooth and topped with just enough wire to say keep out, encircled all of Crestview Meadows. Every exit sealed, their perfect world trapped. I installed a smart lock on the only gate. I held the key. Friday morning, chaos erupted. At 6:15 a.m., I sipped coffee on my barn's rooftop, binoculars in hand, watching Crestview unravel. Why won't the gate open? A man yelled, late for work. This fence is blocking my driveway, a woman shrieked. Margaret, in a silk robe and pink slippers, stormed around, barking into her phone. Caleb's walkie-talkie crackled. Boss, Margaret's coming with 2 cops. I grinned. Let her. She screamed as I stepped through my gate. Open that gate, or you're arrested. The officers hesitated, sensing something off. I handed them my deed, proving I owned the utility easement around Crestview. Margaret snatched it, shouting, this means nothing. But the cop waved her off. Ma'am, he's got rights here. You needed to negotiate access. Her jaw dropped. She hissed she'd sue, but I knew something she did in their next move would cross a line. Margaret called Channel 7, spinning a tale of me holding her neighborhood hostage. I stayed calm, handing the reporter my deeds, footage of Margaret's drone, and proof their fence was unpermitted. The 6 p.m. news flipped the script. Rancher legally fences HOA after they blocked his land. Public opinion swung my way. Comments flooded in. HOAs are out of control. Leave this veteran alone. A neighbor dropped off a pecan pie, calling Margaret's crew the clipboard mafia. But Margaret wasn't done. She grabbed a crowbar from her golf cart and attacked my smart lock, sparks flying as she screamed, you can't trap us. My cameras blared a warning, step away or face charges. The crowd gasped. An officer cuffed her for vandalism. I leaned in, whispering, kindness could have avoided this. Yet her worst act came later. At 2 a.m., I caught her husband, Victor, and her cousin, Paul, with bolt cutters, slicing my fence. I stepped from the shadows, floodlights snapping on. Smile, you're on camera. They froze. Caleb, shotgun resting in his arms, appeared behind me. They fled. I sent the footage to the sheriff, who laughed. HOA folks acting this dumb? Never seen it. Crestview's next move was illegal Blitzies and Azist letters, claims I violated human rights. They built another illegal gate on my land's edge. I countered with a taller gate, drones buzzing overhead. Margaret, desperate, announced they'd cut my water and power, not knowing I had solar and a private well. When her crew arrived, Sheriff Ben, sipping coffee on my porch, stopped them cold. "You're tampering with private utilities," he said. They scattered, leaving an orange cone crushed under their van. The breaking point came at Crestview's town hall. Margaret rallied for a lawsuit, but a quiet engineer, Nathan, stood up. "We fenced his land first. He owns the road. Maybe we're wrong." Murmurs spread. Margaret's face paled. Then the lights dyed me utility line, which they'd tried to cut, powered their clubhouse. A kitchen burner sparked smoke, alarms blared, and chaos erupted. Margaret vanished in the panic. Fire trucks found no fire, just minor damage, but the HOA was fracturing. That night, my cameras caught Margaret again, slashing at my lock with a box cutter, eyes wild. "You don't belong here," she shrieked. I triggered floodlights and a silent alarm. Caleb grabbed her arm as Sheriff Ben arrived. "You're under arrest again," he said, citing a restraining order I'd filed. Margaret collapsed, sobbing. "You ruined my neighborhood." I pressed charges. Her arrest sparked an HOA audit. Nathan and others uncovered Margaret's fraudulent siphon thousands, paying her cousin for overpriced fences, skipping board votes. The HOA imploded. Victor listed their house. Residents met me under my oak tree, apologizing. "We didn't know how deep it went," Nathan said. "I agreed to remove my fence if they stopped bullying." "Elect leaders who respect neighbors," I said. They clapped, the Texas sky echoing their hope. But peace didn't last. A federal lawsuit landed, filed by Eleanor Hensley, Margaret's icy lawyer sister. She accused me of unlawful imprisonment and demanded I fund Crestview's mental wellness. I hired Lauren Baxter, a sharp ex-military attorney. In court, we exposed Eleanor and Margaret's shared bank account, funneling HOA funds. The judge ruled for me, suspending the HOA and ordering damages. Eleanor stormed out. Then my east fence was destroyed, 80 feet of cedar, slashed at 3 a.m. A sign read, "This isn't over." This wasn't Margaret or Eleanor. It was personal. I dug into my past and found Ryan Decker, a former ranch hand who'd wanted to develop my land years ago. He'd left after we clashed, but now ran Decker Builds, the firm Margaret hired for her fence. Lauren confirmed Ryan pocketed $200,000 in shady HOA payments, plotting to bankrupt me for my land's water rights. That night, Ryan confronted me, smirking at my gate. "Your ranch is outdated, Ethan. I'll build over it." I stood firm. "You're chasing revenge." He drove off, but soon after, he freed my cattle. Dozens vanished, one hit by a semi, another euthanized. I wept in the dirt. Lauren built a federal case, exposing Ryan's fraud and land theft scheme. He was arrested in Houston, headlines blazing. At a final meeting, I unveiled a new iron gate for Crestview's access road, etched with Caldwell Ranch, honor and truth. "This stays open if respect is mutual," I told the crowd. Nathan, now HOA president, shook my hand. A fresh start. That night, I sat on my porch, beer in hand, the land breathing free. Margaret fled to Arizona, Eleanor retreated, and Ryan awaited trial. They fenced me in, but I held the key. My land, my name, my PC, it's mine. And that gate? It opens when I say so.